welcome to the Swift Half, your weekly session of chat from the UK OCR and adventure running scene. Each week, pub landlord Alan and our favourite regular Ian discuss races, runners and anything else that comes to mind. So pull up a pew, pour yourself a drink and join us for the Swift Half.
Ian, my friend, welcome to the Swift Half. How are you?
I'm good, Alan. Welcome to all podcast listeners and to anyone who's checking this out on YouTube for the first part.
Yeah, because we've gone live on YouTube for something really, really strange. And guess what, Ian? It's not going to work because I've got double sounding. Can you hear me twice?
No, I can hear you once.
All right. So it must just be me. I can hear myself speaking. But anyway, I've turned it off on that, but I've kept the YouTube thing. Before we go into anything, as always, Ian, we always start with what are we drinking tonight? So what are we drinking?
Well, tonight I'm actually on a Koppenberg, a alcohol-free Koppenberg, but it is a cider nonetheless. It is strawberry and lime flavour.
How good is Koppenberg alcohol-free? You know, I go running on Tuesday, and we always call him for a quick pint afterwards at the Boatman in Barnsley. Well, they do Koppenberg alcohol-free, and I've started drinking that. It's so refreshing.
It is really refreshing, and I found it in the fridge, and I couldn't resist just saving it for tonight. So, cheers, Alan. What are you drinking?
Well, you've gone a bit onto the alcohol side. I've gone for a Lipton lemon iced tea.
Lipton iced tea. And any reason?
Just not a major reason, but it's just I've been drinking it for a few weeks now. I bought one of these cases of 24. And I got home tonight and I thought, what am I going to drink on the show? And I was going to go and get myself some beers. And I just thought, no, I want to go like a little bit softy drink. So, yeah, I thought I'd go Lipton iced tea. And it's just, it's really muggy outside. It's just something that refreshes you.
It is. Lipton iced tea is very much a holiday drink, isn't it? It's something you drink on a beach in Spain while you're just watching the tide come in.
Yeah, I did that when I was over in Turkey not so long ago. I drank lots of tea over there. They're giving them little glasses, what do they call them? I don't know. There's a special name for them. But I can't. Little shot, like bigger than shot glasses, and they fill it up. And I used to let it go cold and drink it cold.
We really don't have enough glasses for hot drinks in the UK, do we? It's all about the mugs here. But if you go abroad, they always serve them in them lovely glasses that you can see through, particularly tea. It just makes it look so much better.
Yeah, I love it. But then they don't drink tea with milk in. We drink it with milk in over here. They tend to drink it black all the time.
That's true, but do you really think milk's going to make it look that bad? Surely it'll just look like a regular tea.
Or look like dishwasher water.
Or look like dishwasher water, I guess, Alan. Right, given we are live on YouTube and we probably shouldn't outstay our welcome, would you like to move on to the reason we're on YouTube?
We are, yes, Ian, I definitely will. So we have been doing a draw. We've been saying all along we've been doing a draw for a book, The Running Challenges by Kerry Wallace. I'll show it up to the screen. It's a great little book, 100 running challenges all over the country, and we got one to give away. So we are going to give it away. We're going to do a draw. We said always do the draw live. It's all our patrons and people who bought a raffle ticket, basically. So I've got them all on a sheet. And if by magic, I will share my screen right now. I think we've got it on, Ian. Can you see my screen?
I have. And oh, wow. That is a lot of patrons and people who have bought tickets.
It certainly is, Ian. So I've never done this before. So I think I just press a button. Do I just press a button?
You do, but before you do, go to the top where it says entries and click that shuffle button.
Shuffle button. Oh, got that, yeah.
Yeah, shuffle it a few times just so that people aren't next to each other. Because I saw like Will Chung, there was 3 of him all together. So if we shuffle it up a bit, it'll make it a little bit fairer.
All shuffled up. Right.
All shuffled up. And now I guess you just click it and it should work.
Oh, it's exciting, this, Ian. Ian, I'm all excited now. Here we go. We have got Richard W. So I think Richard might be one of our patrons, if I remember rightly. So I will check that out. I have only put initials on there without checking the patrons. So Richard W., you have won this book. I will contact you and get it sent out to you. Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations, Richard. And make sure you reach out to Alan and he will sort that for you. Just to confirm, yours is a new book, not the one Alan was just flicking through, breaking the spine. That's Alan's book.
This is my book. Yeah, this has actually got notes in this book actually.
Well, you might want
So
that one, but yeah. Right, should we bid farewell to YouTube?
bye bye YouTube. There, Ian, it's gone. YouTube's ended. How good was that?
It's interesting. Yeah, we've never done that before. And I realized at the last minute that, do you know how we've been helping out the Hybrid Fitness Summit?
Yes.
And for that, I put my video in 4K or whatever it is, HD.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then I looked across at yours. I realized you don't yet have yours in HD.
So you mean my camera? Oh, how do I do
Yeah, your
that?
camera. If you go onto video,
Onto video, which
this is
is
right next to
yeah, got
audio.
that.
This is
Yeah,
really useful for those listening. Okay. If you
yeah.
then go to video settings,
Video settings. I've got that. People are going to be, this is not great listening, but hey oh,
it's awesome. We're teaching people how to do HD live on air with Zoom. If you look where your camera is, it says original ratio and then HD. Yours is probably ticked original ratio. If you tick HD,
HD ticked. Oh, look at that,
how cool
Ian!
is that?
I'm like a whole different person. You can see all
You
my
are.
wrinkles.
Yes.
Hey, you know what? I'm thinking like I look like an old man now, but I am an old man. But the camera would say adds £5 to you. I actually look at it now and I think that looks a little bit more like me. I don't look like a fat Yorkshireman anymore.
I'm disappointed. I still look like a fat Lancastrian, but I think that's just my camera. Well, you say the camera adds £5. I've got about 6 cameras on me. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it.
I like that. I've been back on losing weight again, so I'm now at my lowest weight. I've been in a long time, constantly losing. I think ETM helped big time.
Well, it did because you did how many miles again? Was it 70 miles?
70 miles, 35 miles, 7 laps, 35 miles, and on the back of that though, I lost nearly 6,500 calories. I think it worked out at nearly 7,000 calories. So that's quite a lot of calories in a 12-hour period.
That is a lot of calories in a 12-hour period. And actually, I remember reading something on Reddit that confused me. Someone was asking, how do you do Hyrox training without losing weight? And well, firstly, I've never lost a pound doing Hyrox training. I'm obviously doing it wrong. But I questioned him because you got to find out more details sometimes. And he said, oh, well, whenever I run, I'm doing 1,000 calories. How on earth are you running each time to do 1,000 calories? What are you doing? 60-minute sprints?
I think if you do it for a long distance, well, it depends how far he runs into. So 1,000 calories, I would burn 1,000 calories on a 10-mile run.
10 miles, so a couple of hours.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking at an hour 30 to an hour 40.
Oh, you're running relatively hard, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. If you're just doing a slow zone 2, what, you probably 400, 500?
Yeah, I think between 5 to 600. If it's a 12-minute mile and I'm running 10 miles, it's usually 600 calories. If I'm running 9-minute miles, I'm definitely burning 1,000.
I never got the answer, by the way, because he responded and said, oh, this sub never helps anyone, and deleted his profile. But I was still really flummoxed as to how he was going for 1,000 calories and how he was worried about losing weight during Hyrox. Well, to avoid losing weight during Hyrox, eat more.
Eat more, without a doubt. Eat more. Eat more. I like that. We just touched on Endurance League on ETM there, Ian. Shall we talk about the Endurance League because the results are out, the up-to-date results are out?
So I can check. This isn't the one that we run, right? This is run by people who know what they're doing.
This is run by people who know what they're doing. Although it's called the UK OCR Endurance League, it's not run by us. It's run by British Obstacle Sports, and I think it's sponsored by VOOM, if I remember rightly. So the results are out, and I'm not going to say I'm shocked because we're only 3 races into it. So far we've had the Farmyard Jam, Scotland's Tough Mudder Infinity, and Europe's Toughest Mudder. 2 more races to go: Nuclear Oblivion Max and Spartan London South. which is the southeast, sorry, which is the ultra. So after 3 races, the leader, Daniel Weston, is currently leading the men's, which is absolutely fantastic, on 1,060 points. But he's closely followed by Dassos, who's on 1,000 points. Only done 2 though. So Dassos has run 2, won 2 at this moment in time. Third place, Grant Thompson. Fourth, Gareth Oakley. Fifth, Russell Walsh. Gary Andrews, Peter Gleeson, and Gary Ewan fetch up the top 8 in the men, which is great, isn't it? That's good running.
That is some good running. So just to clarify, first place has done 3 races. Dassos has done 2.
Dassos has done 2. Grant's done 2. And Gareth Oakley from Primal Fitness has done 3 as well.
Okay. And is it your best 3 or is it all 4?
I do believe it's your best 3. I'm just going to have a quick look at this. Best 3 events will score points. So
best 3.
So Duncan increases. I would have thought that potentially Dassos will be going to Nuclear Oblivion. And I'm not sure if Grant's going. But I would imagine Russell Walsh will be going as well. Potentially, though, if, let's just, from a roundabout thing, if Grant Thompson doesn't go, or whether he does go to Nuclear, if he then goes to Spartan Ultra, he's got a really good chance of Spartan Ultra. Where Dassos doing Oblivion, yeah, he's got a good chance of winning, but he's up against some really high competition, absolutely top quality competition. He might not win. He might get a second or a third. If he does, and Grant then goes in to Spartan Ultra and wins Spartan Ultra, it could be it's up for grabs.
Really, I do like the league system. I do think that the various leagues that are being run are really helping the OCR community.
Oh, without a doubt, Ian. I couldn't agree more. From the competitive side of things, we're now becoming much more competitive in Europe and the world, and it's the right thing to do. We've always said having competitive races out there. When I say competitive, I mean competitive events out there where they come all together in a league. And I know we had the Munster League and we had the UKOCR Community League at one point. Not fighting against each other, but in different corners, a bit like the boxing, the different clashes in boxing, but now we've got the same thing. We're all fighting for the same thing. The rules are very, very similar in every one of them. The point system's the same. It's the UK is pretty much leading the way when it comes to all this side of stuff, Ian.
Which is great. And do we have the female results up as well?
We do. I have the female results up. So in first place, we've got Emma Kirkwood, who's got 3 races under her belt with 1,218 points. Second place, Jackie Barr. Third place, Ruth Battersea. Fourth, Hannah Bulmer. Fifth, Sancha Martin. Sixth, Laura McHale. Seventh, Leanne Simmons. Eighth, Alison Ewers, rounded them off. But there's only Emma out of those that's done 3 events. So again, that's still up for grabs.
And what I like about that is how people have specialised, because a lot of those names would not be that familiar to people who listen to the show a lot. I know some will stand out amongst others, but a lot of those racers have chosen to specialise in the endurance side of things this year.
Very much so. When you look at the UK OCR series, some of them athletes are not in the rankings out there, So yeah, they are specialising. I'm just going to pull up the UK OCR series, and when I look at the top 8 on the UK OCR series against the endurance series, there's only Ruth Battersea that's in there. Ruth Battersea comes in at 8th in the UK OCR series. There's none else in there. They're there. Men's slightly different, because in the men's we have got Russell Walsh is in there, Dassos is in there. So that's it. Top 8 then. So we've got two men in the 8 in the UKCR as well as the endurance. So yeah, so it is interesting that we're seeing 2 different types of races with very little crossover.
We are, and this means we're going to need bigger awards, doesn't it? Because we've got more first place prizes to give out.
Yeah, there's going to be more and more going on, which I think so. It's great, Ian. I think it's absolutely great. And this week we've got the Spartan down in Badminton, which is part of the UK OCR series. So this could really shake things up. Um, you know, currently when you look at the overall standings in the league, we have got Daniel Titcomb's on there, 1,965. Russell Walsh, 1,780. Finlay Greenleaf, Finlay, amazing, in third place, 1,650. Jason Brunnock, fourth. Dassos Ganella, Leo Brimacombe, Alex Young, Jason Morland. Few people have come up there from last year. They've moved up the ranks and that. It's great to see them coming up. Can maybe Russell sneak over down at Spartan? Can he pull some out of the bag? We know Russell's fast over long distances. He's also fast over short. He's got a long stride, much longer stride than a lot of these athletes. A bit taller than some of them. It could be a shake-up. I won't like to guess who's going to go out there and win it. It could be anyone's game. And we all know Jason Brunnock's a bit of a Spartan specialist. He could go out and do really, really well.
Absolutely. And I'm glad we don't have to make predictions anymore, because that's what the Pesky Who's Hot team do.
I know, I was listening to their predictions and I was like, oh, there's been Becky's gone against Feddy, which was a shock. I was like, no.
Oh, I know. But you have to make those tough decisions when you're being a sports pundit. You can't always go with your friends.
Yeah. I got a strange feeling that Shyla might do well. I think if Shyla has a good clean race, because she's practicing over much shorter distances, we're talking, what is it, 5K, 3.5 mile. It's going to be really, really interesting to see who wins this.
It is, and badminton is ridiculously flat as well, so it will play into someone like Shyla's strength. She's a great obstacle racer anyway, but she's also dipped her toe into the high rocks as well. So we know she's got that flat ground speed too.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't come down to the spear throw. That's all I want to say. I really hope that the races are not won and lost on the spear throw.
I know it's not gonna.
You know it's not going to.
It's absolutely not going to.
Because they're taking it out.
No, but I did see someone buy a job lot of laser pistols for some reason.
Are they doing laser pistols at this one?
I've no clue. That's a Graham question. I don't know.
I thought I haven't seen the map, but I thought there was of the spear throw. I thought Spartan was staying with the spear throw, and it was just in their short course. Their elite race that they do the guns, the laser pistols.
I'm fairly sure you're correct. So, listeners, don't go there expecting to use a laser pistol. I'm just checking to see the maps, and I can't see the map. We do have a map for Tough Mudder. I can't see the Spartan map. I wonder if Pesky Who's Hot got it.
They did get a map, but if anyone wants to listen to their show, they didn't get a map that had all the obstacles on. They had to be told what the obstacles on by the race director on the show, which was quite interesting.
Yeah, and now think about it, they didn't mention laser pistols.
No. Talking about maps, which brings me up to a good point. Maps, we've got the Tough Mudder maps that's come out. Yeah. So we know the Tough Mudder map down there, it's going to be very, very similar to what the Spartan Sprint is. But I'm sharing my screen with you, Ian, because on our website, so if anyone wants to go onto our website, if you're listening to this, you can go onto ukocr.com, go onto news by race brand, and go onto Tough Mudder maps. Because I'm just going to talk about the maps at a minute. Because this week I've been doing a little bit of research, Ian. I know it's not like me, but I've been doing a little bit of research on maps. So as you can see, and these are the latest maps that we're seeing now. We see these maps all the time this year from Tough Mudder.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like a regular map.
Looks like a regular map, just really good quality map. However, Ian, I've gone back and found maps from years ago. So I've gone right the way back to 2018, I think it is. 2017, 2016, London Northwest. Look at the difference in maps.
Oh, gosh. Well, that just looks like one of those ink splodges test that you have in psychology. You know, what do you see? What do you see? Although I will say, I did like the spectator viewing that they had, which was used to be a lot clearer. You know, because you can see there that they have yellow and blue lines telling you which way to go. Listeners, I know this is excellent audio for you, but go on the website, you'll see what I mean. Scroll up a bit, Alan. Let's see some of these other maps.
So this is 2018, Ian. So in 2018, they went a little bit better. They started doing coloured routes for the routes rather than a little dotted line, which I thought was quite pretty. But then they
Yeah, I
went
like
backwards. Go on.
I was going to say, scroll up to the Mud Revival one. Which year is this?
The Mud Revival one, is this the one? Which one am I looking at? So this one
So
you can
these
see
ones.
this is Scotland. So
Yeah.
this is Scotland, 2021.
You know what? I like that one.
Do you like that?
I do because it's so clear. It's useless in terms of trying to find your way around the venue, but it's so clear what's going on.
Yeah. I guess you see a route and I guess you see what the obstacles are. It's much clearer. Don't look as busy as the other ones, you know, the earlier ones. And you can see where they moved in 2021. So if you can see the Chalmondley Castle one, Tough Mudder Northwest in September 2021. And then in 2022, they brought out Henley-on-Thames. You can see where they go a little bit darker before they mess around again with the light one. But then in 2023, we get to see much more of what we're seeing now on the maps.
Yeah, but what I don't like about these new maps is the map itself is very little of the actual page.
Yeah, it's not as much, is it, as what they were.
They,
You're quite right
they've
there.
got better. Yorkshire is a bit better, and Southwest is a little bit better. What do we think of the Southwest map, by the way? Because there's 21 obstacles.
Yes, there are. Yeah, which is a little bit less than what we normally see, isn't it?
It is, and if I remember Southwest was one where mud mile is sometimes counted twice. I'm not sure if it's down as two obstacles or whether you just go down it one way and then turn around and go down it the other way.
Yeah, the map's not really clear enough for me to see whether you go down and back up it. But I mean, there's nothing on there that obstacle wise that really jumps out at me. And I would have thought going down south, going down to London, they'd want to make it a bit more of a prestige event.
Yeah, except it is, I want to say 150 miles away from London because it's Southwest.
So, okay, so southwest, where's that? Whereabouts is that? It's 150 miles away. Is that Bristol
Yeah,
area then?
yeah, it's Listerville.
All right. I thought badminton was like close to London. There we go. That's me and my geography out of the window. Go back to school and do geography, Alan.
Yeah, no, it's Gloucester, so it's down the M5. It it's fine. It is all I can say about it. It's not the most exciting. I think I've only done it once, and that's because yeah, it's not the most exciting one. I can understand why they've done it as a double header with Spartan. If you're going to double header on the same weekend, this is probably the weekend to do it, to try and encourage people to come on the Sunday because it can't be cheap to have badminton.
No, definitely not cheap. It's going to cost a fair few pound that, isn't it? You know, when it comes to money costs and that. Which event would you say was going to be the most expensive out of them?
What, in terms of putting on?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not quite sure. Probably Scotland, from a point of view of moving the trucks up there.
Okay. What about in terms of cost for the venue itself, though? Because I would have thought that Beaver Castle would have been the most expensive.
Maybe, but on the other hand, Beaver Castle has so many events on that it probably offsets.
Okay. So it knows it's going to be busy all year round, so it probably doesn't charge as much as like Broughton Estate in Yorkshire, which doesn't have as many events on.
So I just think, like with Beaver Castle having in Enduro 24, for example, and all the other triathlons that they have on there, you just get the feeling that if it was overly expensive, they wouldn't use it. And speaking of which, do you know last week when we were talking about WTM and we were speculating about where they'd put Tent Village, Will Chung pointed out that because they have Enduro 24 there, there's plenty of room where we were thinking about, you know, in the traditional village area.
Yeah.
So he pointed out that, yeah, you could easily fit Tent City there, which again, we will see when they do it. And hopefully we'll be able to quiz some people from Tough Mudder on that very topic and more in the near future.
Yeah, cool, excellent. Before I let you go, let me go back to maps again, because I've also put nuclear maps on it. So I'm sharing the nuclear ones we're in. How pretty do these look?
They
Look at these.
do. They're much more like the 2021 Tough Mudder maps in that it probably won't help you get around the venue, but they look really pretty. They're stuff that you wouldn't mind putting on your wall because they look like festival maps.
Exactly. And I was thinking this exactly the same. How good would be if I'm sure if you printed these off on something like an A2 size or an A1, you'd make some amazing posters out there for someone. So they're all on our page, guys, on our website, ukocr.com. Just go to news and go by race brand, click on nuclear racers or Tough Mudder. There's a button on there that says maps, and you'll find them on there. So I just thought it was interesting to share it with you.
It was, and Rush and Blackout are coming up soon, aren't
they? Blast and Blackout, yes.
Good point. Blast and Blackout. Sorry, Nuclear. I was giving you more work then.
September 21st. This is the one where I'm sure Blackout, I've never done Blackout. I've done Blast, but never done Blackout. And Blackout goes through the nuclear bunker.
Is it that weekend where you don't get all the obstacles because it could be, well, usually it's not the nicest weather, but what you do get is the ability to go around as many times as you want?
Yes. So when I last did it, and it was a few years ago now, I think it was back in 2020 when I think I did it last. And I did Blast, and you got 2 hours to go around and do as many as you can. I mean, when we say there's not as many obstacles, there's 60 obstacles, you know what I mean, that going around it. So there are quite a lot of obstacles. But yeah, I think you get 2 hours to go around it. Someone's going to me back and said no, but yeah, everything's there. And of course, Zebedee's Revenge is there, which is the one that our followers named. So yeah, you get all the ones are in there: bunker zip lines, slip and slide, Travelator, things like that. 60 obstacles. Go around as often as you can. It's a great event. It's one of the best.
It is, and I really need to get down there sometime because I've never been to Nuclear Village. Maybe I'll get there this year, either for that race or the week after. I think we've got Nuclear Fit, Alan.
Yeah, Nuclear Fit. Doing a lot of Nuclear Fit at the moment. It's a great event and that. Let's hope that we can get some better footage next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Of saying that, the footage that Sam has shared with us, that we shared, was fantastic. Did you see the interview she did with Hugo Huge, which is the best name ever for any kind of athlete? But Hugo Huge from Sweden won the Nuclear Fit Pro race. He had an absolute blast, and he did a quick interview, which Sam recorded, that we've put up on the Fitness Racing Podcast IG. And yeah, that's the kind of collab that we love doing, Alan. You know, we talk about this all the time, don't we? But anything you can share, we'll happily share.
My Instagram, so I said my Instagram, our Instagram, the UKOCR at the minute, I seem to be sharing more and more, which is great. I love it. Keep tagging us in, people. I only go on once a day. Going to be straight up. I only go on once a day, so you're going to get loads of them stories all shared once a day. But yeah, share away with us. We will definitely share everything.
We absolutely will. Let's just walk it back to last week. We briefly talked about WTM. We briefly talked last week about how it clashed with the European Championships. And quite a lot of our Patreons pointed out that is there just too many races going on all at the same time at the moment, forcing you to decide what to do and missing out on other stuff?
It's a good point, Ian. Tough Mudder and Spartan are in full swing, and for whatever reason, we're getting clashes. We're getting big clashes. We've already had Nuclear and Spartan clash. We're just getting that many big races clash. WTM's now going to clash with Euros next year, and I know these companies can't avoid it. They get weeks, and they potentially know years in advance when they are. Maybe that's the key, that they're not letting people know soon enough. Is 12 months enough? I don't know.
No, it's a sweet spot, isn't it? Because as well, WTM is kind of clashing with Morzine Spartan, which is the Ultra, which is a bit silly when you think about it because we're one big company.
Yeah, I mean that is an absolutely stupid clash. Is it a week apart? Is it a week apart? You know,
It is.
the two biggest ultra runs in their calendar. Maybe apart from Death Race, but could you call Death Race an ultra run? I don't know. But WTM and Morzine Ultra, probably the two biggest in Europe next year, are going to be a week apart. Doesn't make sense.
Absolutely doesn't. But again, I guess it was just the way it landed when it came to venue availability. But that's a good point, Alan. And we've seen this with High Rocks as well. I'm sorry to bring it back up to High Rocks, but I'm seeing a lot of people say, when's the Manchester event being announced? And I can understand people's frustrations. And like you say, Alan, the events know months and years in advance where they're going to. And there's no good reason to not tell people when events are going to happen. Like with High Rocks, for example, I'm trying to think of something that is less likely to happen than High Rocks Manchester being around about the last week in January.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. We know it's going to be round about then, but people want to know, and I get that people want to know. But this, on the flip side of that, Ian, if people did know, so we know WTM's announced, but I'll guarantee that maybe only 5% of runners who are going to go to WTM have signed up since it were announced last week. There won't be lots of people. So Tough Mudder announcing it 12 months in advance. If they announced it any earlier, you're not going to get no one. You're not going to get no more sign up than what you currently are now. Because at this moment in time, the way people are signing up, and this is what a bit of research I've done over the last couple of months, people are not signing up until 2 months before the event, if not 1 month before the event, because of the clashes. Because they're like going. So we have got. Let's just take UK OCR series for instance. There's one a month, which is absolutely great. It gives people time to recover, to race. But then there's other big races in between. So would you then sign up for a month of race after if you're going to be racing 2 weeks after and maybe get injured? I'm not going to say probably, maybe get injured, and then you can't race the week, 2 weeks later. It's a tough decision for athletes here.
It is, and how much racing is too much racing? Because I know I've cut down my events right back, not deliberately. It's just kind of fallen like that, Alan. Because I think we've had this discussion on the podcast previously, where in times past, in pre-COVID times, me and Jen over Christmas would sit out and plan out our events calendar. No, it's we have a vague idea that some events are happening and we'll sign up to them if we feel like it.
Exactly what you're meaning. When I used to plan my events, I used to turn around and say, okay, so I've got £200 a month that I can spend on events. That's my maximum I'm going to spend on events. And that potentially includes getting there. If I've got to stop overnight somewhere, that includes my overnight stop. So over a year, £2,400, it's quite a lot of money, but I used to be able to get good value for money by doing like, 30 and £40 events. Ramrun used to be only £30. Absolutely great event. I think Reaper, when that was around, that was a £40 event, but now there's not many events that you are going to get for 30. In fact, I don't find any £30 events anymore. The minimum I've seen, the lowest I've ever seen is £40 at the moment. But then you're paying £100 for an event. And if I've got £200 to spend, that means 2 events rather than 4 a month.
True. Although, do you need more than 2 events in a month?
Well, I think it depends, doesn't it? I would do more. Maybe I would do 3. But I mean, at this moment in time, £200 to me is one event. £100 for the event to enter it, and £100 on travel.
That's true. That is true. And I'm trying to think of it from a race point of view. So thinking about Deadly Dozen, which is a friend of the show, if you remember, he released his calendar almost back to back to back. In that 1 week, he announced the first 2 races, promptly sold them out, and then released the next ones a week later and sold them out. From a race point of view, is that potential that they're leaving money on the table by not creating demand for their event? So if one event's sold out, surely they should release the next one straight away. But I guess on the other hand, are OCR selling out anymore?
Well, that is the thing, isn't it? OCRs are not selling out anymore. We know that. There's very the numbers have not returned to the smaller events that we would have expected. I remember when let's just take I want to take one that's no longer about Ram Run. What was no longer about Ram Run was attracting like 1 to 1,500 people to its events. Um, that size event now would be attracting less than half of that. You know what I mean? I don't look at nuts. Nuts have gone from their winter nuts have gone from 2 days to one day. You know, even Spartan's gone from 2 days to one day, and so has Tough Mudder have gone from 2 days to one day. So we know they're not attracting the numbers.
That's true. Although, do you think there's any harm in any artificial sellout?
As in, let's say it's sold out, so we make demand for the next race.
Just thinking that when you almost break even, so to speak, or not break even, when you get into profit, particularly with something like a Tough Mudder, would it not be cheaper for them to sell out when they've got enough waves to fill 8 a.m. to say 2 p.m.?
That is a very good point. That so if you've got let's just say your overheads are £190,000, let's say £200,000, a round figure, £200,000. That's a ballpark figure that I'm guessing what their overheads are. If they then sell tickets that account to £400,000, which is £200,000 net profit, should then that end? That is a good point.
Because what you could do then is say this event's sold out, but we're going to put another day on. Get your tickets quick.
Yeah, yeah. But then would that second day sell out if you did
That's
Saturday
the problem.
yeah, yeah.
But could you then set up your next event?
Well, that would be the thing, wouldn't it? Because if you are doing that, you can say get in early for next year. You could actually open up next year's events early because they will know whether where next year's events are. They know that because we know when we go to a Tough Mudder, we go to Midlands. The moment Saturday's over and done with, Saturday evening, you're getting an email from Tough Mudder saying sign up to next year's Midlands event for this amount of money.
Exactly. So they're already aware. So why not try and encourage people to buy a year in advance?
Or over a year in advance.
Have we just saved OCR again?
I think that's once again, we've saved OCR.
Just kidding, listeners. We haven't. Speaking of which, Alan, am I right in thinking there's only about 5 to 10 tickets left for Farmyard Jam for next year? So listeners, get in there quick.
Yes, Ian. Yes, Ian. Yes, Ian.
Yeah, five to 10 tickets left. We're not telling you which ones they are, but amongst the ones currently on sale, between 5 and 10 of them are the last ones.
The last ones, yeah. Talking about racing that in, what about the Spartan season pass? Because this is out now.
It is. Well, as we're recording, it's not out to general public. I think it's only to Spartan's loyal customers at the moment, but I'm sure it'll probably be out to everyone. This again circles back to this idea of too much to do, doesn't it? Because I was thinking about season passes. Do you remember the Rat Race season pass? How you practically, if you bought that, your whole season kind of like evolved around rat races.
Without a doubt, yeah. And I think theirs was one of the best season passes that I've ever had the privilege of purchasing. Because you got to do so many races. I was unfortunate when I got mine that I think I did 2 races, 2 men's fittest, and I got injured. So I wasted a load of money on a season pass for a whole season. And back then you couldn't transfer like you can, they do let you transfer a little bit now.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Back then it was just, oh, well, you've lost your money.
Yeah. But no, you're right. Great season pass back then. Spartan season pass this time, what do we think of it?
It's incredibly complicated.
I'm glad you thought that because I can't make head nor tail of it.
God bless Graham. He's tried his best to explain this. But listener, basically you've got 4 choices. You've got the Ultra Season Pass, you've got the Season Pass, you've got the Trifecta Pass, and you've got the Europe Pass. Okay, I think the Trifecta Pass is relatively easy to work out in that I'm fairly sure that it covers you for 3 races, allowing you to get your trifecta.
1 sprint, 1 super, 1 beast.
Nice and easy, yeah?
Yeah.
You also have all heat access, which presumably means you can do age group.
Yeah.
You get some spectator passes, which to me is kind of like addition by subtraction, because back in the day, there was no such thing as a Spartan season pass. Then again, back in the day, there was no such thing as a Spartan spectator.
True.
And you get exclusive pass apparel.
They always say this, but I don't know what you get because, my Tough Mudder season pass says that, and I've had nothing from Tough Mudder.
You'll probably get a poster like I did. It was the funniest thing ever. We got this poster once with our Tough Mudder season pass, Alan, and by the time you received it, there was 1 race left.
I like that.
So you've got the trifecta pass. Okay.
Yeah.
Then the season pass, presumably, and the trifecta pass 229. The season pass 369, presumably, that allows you to do all the races, not just the 3 that you need for trifecta.
Well, that's whatever Spartan are racing, you'll get to do 1 race each category on whichever day it is.
Yes, that's how I imagine it. And you also get a buddy pass discount, 50% times 5. Although with the buddy pass, it only counts for, I believe, the open heats.
Okay. Yeah.
So I can just about work that out. You've then got the Ultra Pass for 479, and that gets you everything that the Season Pass gets you, but it gets you 10 buddy passes and also gets you entry into the Ultra and the Hurricane Heats.
Is that the one that gets you 50% off WTM as well?
It does, but it also gives you 1 race entry to Morzine.
Okay.
And it gives you race entry to a World Championship as well.
All right. Okay. That's pretty cool. That's 479.
That's 479. Then it gets a bit confusing. This is where I got confused because for €999, so what, roughly £900, maybe £890, something like that.
Yeah.
You can get the Europe Pass, which gives you very similar to the Season Pass Ultra.
Yeah.
Except you don't get any spectator passes. So apparently, spectators don't want to watch you if you're doing a Europe pass.
Okay, nice. That's good with spectators.
You don't get entry into Morzine. You don't get the World Championship entry. You do get the 50% off World's Toughest Mudder. And it says at the bottom up to 15 usage. And you do get up to 15 usages, which I presume that's because even if you use the Ultra Season Pass in the UK, you'll never get 15 uses out of it. But it doesn't seem like an extra 500 quid's worth of value.
So let's first out. So in the UK, we normally have 4 days, don't we? So there's 4 days or 4 weekends. 2 of them are usually trifectas weekends. So you get 6 races in them. And then the other 2 events, you get 2 other races. So that's 6, 7, 8. So you're going to get 10 races. And if you did every race in the UK, you'd probably get 10 races, I believe. That's off the top of my head. Someone else is going to tell me if I'm wrong. This is off the top of my head. So 10 races in the UK, plus you get the Hurricane Heats as well. So you can actually get more on that. But you also get Morzine and 50% off WTM plus the World Championship race. So no, it doesn't make sense. Ian, it just doesn't make sense whatsoever.
It absolutely doesn't. If anyone can make any more sense of this as to why the Europe Pass is worth £500 more than the regular pass, other than the fact that you get, I guess, a greater variety of choice, please let us know. But on the other hand, Alan, if you're a Spartan honk, you want to buy one of these passes.
I guess so. Talking about Spartan, let's move on slightly. OPP workshops, Mark Logan PT is putting 3 workshops on, 2 for Spartan, one on Sunday, 8th of September, for Spartan beginners. And then he's putting a Spartan 13 to 16-year-old one on Saturday, 17th of August. But then here's an interesting one, a Tough Mudder workshop on Saturday, 31st of August.
Yeah, I've never heard of Tough Mudder Workshop in my life.
Me neither. This is a whole new thing, Tough Mudder workshops. Good, bad? It's a big event.
I think he's good because we still see that most people who have never done a OCR before will do a Tough Mudder. And that tends to lead them to do something else. So my gym, for example, did Tough Mudder Heat and Part last year. This year, Alan, they're going doing Ball Survivor.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Bit similar event, slightly different. Yeah, I get that. I would go from a Tough Mudder to a Born Survivor. I see the thing. Maybe Total Warrior for him next year.
Absolutely, I might recommend it, particularly if they still have the human barbecue.
Which they do. I mean, that's, do you know? Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, young Balogun, because to me that is the best fire jump I have ever taken part in. You know, and I've done quite a few fire jumps. Although no, there was one close to it, and it was only close. It was very, very close, and that was Yorkshire Warrior. Yorkshire Warrior did a fire jump, Ian, that actually had gas flames shooting out through a grill, and the guy who was at the sidelines pressed a button to make them shoot higher. And they were like jumping up like 2-3 meters up in the air, these flames. So that was a good barbecue jump. But Total Warrior, how it's a pretty decent fire, and you jump over it into, a waist deep, maybe chest deep, muddy pond. I love that. It's probably one of the best fire jumps ever. I've got a great picture of when I used to do a lot of muddy duck stuff, and I ran around it with, I can't remember all the guys who I'd run around with, but we all had duck masks on. And I've got a picture laying around, so I'm going to try and find it out with us all running around it with duck masks on. And the fire jump, we leapt the fire jump with duck masks on, which was brilliant.
I cannot wait to see that picture.
It's a good picture. But yeah, fire jumps, yeah, but you can't beat them.
You can't. I don't think that they'll have fire jumps at OPP, but they will have lots of other things for you to train on. Like Alan said, if you can go to any of them, just go, because it also supports a PT who's given so much to the OCR world.
Exactly. And he has given a lot to OCR world. And he has definitely given.
So, Alan, should we talk about the Olympics?
Yes, because I've got some stuff to talk about the Olympics. So the first thing, Ian, have you been watching the Olympics? You know, when it comes to the Olympics, do you watch the main events, or do you like to watch some of the sideline events?
I will watch what's either on the BBC. What do you mean by main event?
So main events is like your track and your field, cycling, but then there's other events in there that have probably only just started to come in. So we get BMX racing, and this year they have had kayak cross racing. So basically, imagine, and it's hard to explain this. So imagine the start line of a BMX race. There's 4 people in a kayak, and then all of a sudden the gate drops, but it's not the gate that drops, it's a ramp that drops down. They shoot down this ramp into some rapids, and they kayak to the bottom of it in the fastest possible time they can, racing each other. So they're all racing each other to get to the bottom first. They've done it quite recently I've seen it in the Winter Olympics and some of these not Winter Olympics, the Winter X Games, where they've done it on ice skates, and they've also done it on snowboards and skis. But it were on kayak, and it had me thinking, Ian, yeah, this is becoming this cross sport thing that they're doing, where 4 people race, is becoming massive. In all the extreme side of things. Could this be the next OCR, or get us into the Olympics?
4 people doing OCR?
4 people in a race. So we've got the 3K series. So imagine the 3K series, but let's have 4 against each other, and let's put the obstacles super close. So we don't like a 100-meter ninja course. Let's make it 250 meters, even longer. Put a little bit of running between them, but just 4, not 4 lanes. So you actually have to. You might only have 2 lanes. So you might have people fighting for rings. Not physically in fisticuffs, but reaching for the same ring. And so imagine like the rings were like gladiator rings. So there's just a whole load of rings just going along a pit, and people just make their own route across them, rather than a straight up line of 8 rings in a line.
Oh, that could be really, really interesting. And I'd love to see that just at any event. Like you say, fighting for your place rather than just having lanes for obstacles. That could be quite fun.
I just was thinking, oh my gosh, I could see this in OCR, and it made me think because when I saw, and I'm going to mention it Farmyard Jam again, seeing Dassos and Russell fighting against the obstacles because the obstacles are only made for two people to go across. There's not lanes, you know what I mean? So they do have to literally fight for the space, and seeing them two guys fight for the space was so exciting. Going over them obstacles. Imagine that where it's a little bit bigger, four lanes. Ah, Ian, it would be so exciting.
That would be super cool. I wonder if Daryl can do something like that over at the Beast Course.
You know, that would be absolutely amazing if Daryl did the, I'm going to say he's going to have four or five lanes, you know what I mean? It's going to be a keep it a thing, but if he just made a rig purely of rings and it was like make your own way, so there wasn't a clear path, you had to maybe zigzag or whatever, that would be cool if we got two or three races coming together.
Would be cool. And I do like the Olympics on for events like that. I also caught out some of the not caught out. I caught some of the skateboarding, which was always fun.
Oh, that young girl, that British girl, she's 15-year-old, 15, 16,
It's
something like
16, and then in the male we have the oldest competitor who was 51.
Oh, it's amazing to see these athletes of all ages. And did you see the Turkish shooter in the pistol shooting who rocked up with just a t-shirt, a pair of jeans, shot with one hand in his pocket and a normal pair of glasses, and then walked off and went for a fag?
I had to double check that wasn't you. It didn't look too dissimilar.
No, he didn't actually. He had a white shirt on. Yeah, I am known for wearing white shirts. Uh,
Well, he is actually kind of famous, I believe. I think he's shot a fair few times, but anyone who's watching it for the first time would have thought that Turkey had sent a hitman. And we didn't see it this year, but last year in the archery. Have you ever watched archery, Alan?
yes, I love archery.
I need to be careful how I say this, but hopefully I won't get cancelled. But we'll go with it. In the 2020 Olympics, which were in 2021, Mexico faced the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland in the archery.
Okay.
The male for the Mexican looked like a Mexican Rambo.
Really?
He did bandana and a nice t-shirt, etc. On the other hand, the English competitors look like they'd come out of either Ready Steady Cook or Great British Bake Off.
Okay.
It honestly was such a culture clash, and I was kind of hoping that Mexico won because I wouldn't like to make that man angry, particularly when I'm wearing a sweater vest. And that is what I love about the Olympics. There's no perfect way to do the Olympics, is there? You do it your way.
Exactly, exactly. Have we ever had bowling in the Olympics? You know, like crown green bowls? Because, I mean, do you remember David Bryant from years ago used to walk with the pipe in his mouth as he was playing? Could you imagine that in modern day Olympics, bowling with an old man with a pipe in his mouth?
That would be awesome. Or snooker with a cigarette.
You're still going to see it. Darts, darts. I remember I watched it the other day on darts, and there was one of the players like was stopped for 5 minutes because he couldn't light his cigarette up and went into the crowd to get a matchstick to light his cigarette. And I was like, from years ago, crackers.
Yeah, you wouldn't get that anymore. Why isn't darts or snooker or something like that in the Olympics? Surely it has more of a right to be in than some of these other sports. And I was thinking, Alan, what is your views in the Olympics about artistic sports, which are great to watch, but are completely determined by a judge?
Like gymnastics.
Like gymnastics, like diving, like, well, boxing to some degree, because I watched the British lad a few days ago boxing and I felt he got robbed. I know we've probably got a bit of bias, but it went into the last round and he was ahead on points. He clattered the other guy all the way through the third round and he still lost.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to small mistakes, doesn't it? I watched trampolining. Didn't one of our girls do really well in trampolining? I think she got gold. I remember watching that, and I looked at it, and I couldn't tell the difference between what she did and what the next person in silver did. You know what I mean? That was my honest opinion. Judges are meant to be professionals and things like that, but yeah, it's how you see it, isn't it? You know, it's I look at Crufts, you know, and I take Crufts as an example, is that you can have a dog at Crufts that a judge likes, and that dog wins, but another judge might choose another dog to win. You know, and it doesn't bode well. I think in sport, I think as an athlete, you might get a little bit peeved if you thought you'd done super well and you don't get the result.
Yeah, and it's difficult, isn't it? Because it just comes down to the judge's determination. I know every sport comes down to the judge's determination. If a judge doesn't like you in football, for example, they can just call fouls at the most inopportune moments, but it's kind of more obvious that they've got it in for you. But I was thinking of all the sports like OCR, which are skill based, where it's obvious who won, which could get in over some of these other sports where you can't tell who's winning. Because, like I say, darts, snooker, or what about, Alan? We are very good at horse racing, aren't we?
Oh well, yeah, we've got a lot of horse racing, yeah,
And show jumping.
show jumping. Oh, I love show jumping.
Why don't we take it to the next level and put canicross in?
Can yeah. See, you're going to see a winner, aren't you? Canicross, you would definitely see a winner.
Absolutely, in canicross would see a winner. You could have all different types of canicross. You could even do flyball as well, Alan.
But isn't that we're talking about athletes here? So about athletes, right? Like an athlete would ride a horse in show jumping. You can't have fly ball because who's going to catch the fly ball? The dog catches the fly ball. Are you going to catch it as well, or the owner of the dog's got to catch a fly ball as well as the dog?
No, the way we sort this out is we correct the wrong when it comes to show jumping.
Okay.
The dog gets a medal, the human owner gets a rosette.
I love that. Listen, we're going to tell this. I'm going to tell this to the pub listeners. I want to know, yeah, what would you like to see in the Olympics? Because there's a lot of sports out there. You know, some really weird ones. Husky racing. You know, that's not in any of the Olympics. So, what sport would you want to see in either the Winter Olympics or the Summer Olympics? It's currently not in there, and you can't choose OCR or Ninja because we all want that in anyway. But what sport would you want in?
Well, could we have space hoppers in?
See, that would be good as well. That would be good. On a serious note, though, about the Olympics, minute differences win and lose races. So let's take the 100 meters that just happened. You know, all the races, I believe, in the race all ran a sub 10 minutes. There was less than 2 meters separated the first and the last runner. Okay. So we're talking real minute differences. I think the winner, the American, somebody Lions, was it? Somebody Lions who won it. They're talking about he won it by something like 3 centimeters was the difference between him winning in the second place. It's that close. How much do you think that technology makes in that at that level, at that high level? Because they're running in these type of suits, aren't they? These speed suits, you know, the shaving. We know cyclists have shaved the legs for years to try and make them go faster. I remember when I played football and Adidas Predator came out, and all of a sudden you had footballers that I played football with that would, you know, they were bending balls like banana because they've got this extra bit of rubber at the side of the feet, and a good player could bend it like a banana. How much does technology play a part in modern day Olympics in athletes in general?
I think it does. And it also plays a part in the decision making as well, because think about the triathlon mixed relay where Team GB and Northern Ireland initially got the silver and then they looked again and gave them the bronze. And if you look at that, Alan, it came down to almost luck in that where you were striding when you hit that particular point in time, if you're following me.
Yeah.
So had they took it one step before or one step after, GB were in the lead. But because just at that specific moment, the USA team member had raised their leg to go on their next stride, they won by like a toenail. And you are so right that the speed suits, etc., just make such a difference.
Yeah. Will we see something like this coming into OCR? So let's just say, so for instance, I run in normal shorts and I tend to wear a vest a lot of the time or a t-shirt, but nothing tight fitting. Now I know some athletes out there, they're like a nice tight fitting top. And we've got Dan Titcombe, who's currently top at UK OCR series. I know he likes to run in like not neoprene shorts, lycra shorts. So he doesn't wear run around in flappy shorts. I don't know if that's speed or if that's to stop them catching on barbed wire and things like that. I haven't asked him. That's a good question. That Dan, if you're listening, let me know. But a lot of athletes don't race like that, So when we get to a point where the racing is that close that everyone's looking for the extra, at the minute we look for that extra edge in trainers. Everyone's looking for that extra little bit of grip, or that extra bit of comfort or whatever they're looking for. Trainers are a massive part of the running game, but will we see it in other areas in years to come?
I think we will. And I think we'll also start doing things that we perhaps haven't even thought about. And I'm trying not to take it down a crude route now, but I will, for the benefit of some listeners, I guess. But what about the French pole vaulter? If he had only tucked, shall we say, he probably would have cleared that.
And what a leap it was. I understand now he's got lots of wedding proposals flying his way. It's probably getting more exposure than if he had have cleared it. That's the funny thing, though, isn't it? As well, it's getting more exposure than I cleared it. And I don't mean that as a joke. That's come across a little bit of a joke with the word exposure, but I didn't mean that. But I remember when back in the day when footballers, David Hurst, who was sponsored by Puma at the time, he used to be paid extra money. So when he went onto the pitch, before he actually kicked a ball, he would bend down in front of the cameraman to tie his shoelaces. And he was paid extra money for that by Puma in his contract.
That's a bit like that guy who was done for match fixing because he ate a pie as the goalkeeper for a non-league club when we played Arsenal. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do, yeah.
And he won a bet, but yeah, he bet on himself and then ate a pie. But yeah, it's a good point. Sometimes sports are kind of weird, aren't they? Because obviously the overall winners get all the adulation.
Yeah.
The rest of the athletes, sometimes it comes down to luck. Like, for example, that Turkey guy, he has probably got a load of potential sponsorship deals now. The French pole vaulter, who should have worn tighter underwear, or not, as the case may be, is going to get a lot of sponsorship coming out of this. Meanwhile, Alan, can you remember who finished second in the pole vault?
I don't remember who won the pole vault. I do actually. It was. I don't remember his name, but the guy he broke the world record, didn't he? I do know he broke the world record, 6 meters 25, if I remember rightly. I think he's Swedish. I want to say Swedish or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, you're quite right. Who did finish second? I don't know. And that's the same thing in a lot of the sports. You look at the 1500 meters. I know Kerr, our lad, came second, but I can't remember who won off the top of my head. And I can remember the second place because he was English.
I think the American guy won it. Sorry to our American listeners.
Yeah.
It was a great race, by the way. He did it to perfection, and the Norwegian guy completely went out too hot. Listener, if you ever want an example about running your race too hot, that was it.
Yeah, without a doubt. He was taking a right lead, weren't he? But they tracked him, they kept up with him, and he was unlucky. Great race. There's been some great track athlete races. Is it Hodgkinson, the British girl, the 800 meters? I've seen some clips on Facebook and Instagram of people, everyday runners, trying to keep her pace, and no one can keep it for I think there was actually a really decent athlete, and he kept it for about 40 seconds before he blew up. I mean, that's amazing.
It is, and it's also amazing how relaxed she looked all the way through that and then just turned the afterburners on at the straight.
Yeah, very much so. I love the athletics.
I do, Alan, and that actually brought up a good point. I was watching the women's 5,000 meters, so the 5K basically.
Yeah.
And do you know how they sometimes talk about what you really need is a regular person running these races so you can see how great they are?
Yes.
I was curious, so I tracked last place at the 5K.
Okay.
In the female 5K, last place was still sub 15 minutes for a 5K.
Wow. Wow. That's phenomenal, isn't it?
It just gives you some idea that these aren't also rounds. That athlete could practically go to any race in any country at 5K and walk away with the prize.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these athletes are amazing. Everyone who's got to them Olympics, irrelevant of what country they've got, whether they're up against 1,000 other athletes in that country or whether against 5 athletes in that country, every one of them deserves to be there, to represent their country, and every one of them is a quality athlete.
Absolutely, Alan. I am going to miss the Olympics. I just love the Olympics because of the various sports. You asked me earlier, I don't think I answered the question. Do I watch the main events or the other sports? I try and watch as much as I can. I will try and watch all the sports that I'll probably not care about in the next 3.5 years until it's back on again. So things like horsey dancing, like the BMX, like the mountain biking, which is exciting, but I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it.
No, no. And we have got the Paralympics coming up soon.
We do, and I love the Paralympics too, just because of how many different divisions there are. And I really hope that when OCI gets to the Olympics, that we get to the Paralympics too.
Completely agree. Completely agree. Before we go, because we're well over time, Ian. Well over time. Coming up on the 7th of September, British Obstacle Sports 3K Championships down at Nuts. Are you excited about it?
Absolutely, because we've not heard enough about nuts this year, and anything that can shine a light on the nuts course is a good thing. And we were talking at the top of the show, which feels like it was 5 hours ago. No, but I know it wasn't. But we are talking at the top of the show about the UK OCR series and the endurance series and how you get different athletes doing it. I'm curious whether we'll get some specialists at the 3K.
I think with the races that we've got now, the British Obstacle Sports going on, we've got the traditional ones, we've got the 3K series, we've got the endurance series. I just see more and more athletes coming into it. And we know quality athletes bring other athletes of all abilities into it. So, yeah, keep it up.
So I guess, Alan, you just need to be a boss member and sign up for that race.
Exactly, yeah. British Obstacle Sports members sign up for that race. I don't think there's any qualification criteria. I haven't seen any at this moment in time, but check out British Obstacle Sports. They've got it all on their pages. Get down there. See how good you are.
And if there is qualifying for it, just tell them that you qualified at Overlord, and Alan will say you did.
And I'll say you definitely did, yes, without a doubt.
Right, Alan. And on that, before we upset British Obstacle Sports any further, I'm going to say it's a goodbye from me.
And listeners, you keep on running, you keep on racing, keep watching those Olympics. And if you're down at badminton this weekend, have a great weekend, and we'll speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye.